Shalom, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai. Let give all praises to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, and double honors to the apostles and elders and bishops of Great Millstone that taught us his word, and peace to the hopeful elect across the planet Earth. I just want to talk about, the day of the Lord and how it is darkness and not light. Even the Lord Yahushai, when he returns, he's coming to bring wrath and destruction. He's not coming back, to hand out daisies and, to save everybody. He's coming for vengeance and destruction, ultimately to deliver, his elect. He is the deliverer. But first scripture is Amos 5:18. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. Yeah, the day of the Lord Yahweh Yahushai, man. It's darkness and not light. The Christian church teaches that, the Lord is coming back, to save everybody and to deliver everybody, and everybody is going to have their place in the kingdom of heaven. And that's not true, As far as the salvation, that's for the elect of Israel only, that's going to be delivered from this nuclear destruction, man. That's the day of the Lord, is that nuclear hellfire, that lake of fire, it's coming down on the planet Earth. And that salvation is only for the elect and the 1/3 of Israel, Israel only. And they're going to be joint heirs, with Yahushai in the kingdom of heaven, which will be right here on the planet Earth. And everybody else is going to go into slavery. All the other nations are going to be slaves unto the Israelites, for 1,000 years. But it says, "Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord." That's not of the elect. It's, woe unto you. That's destruction. The day of the Lord is destruction. And what end is it for you? What are you going to benefit out of it other than, bad times, death, destruction, famine, pestilence, ultimately that nuclear destruction? What are you going to benefit from it? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. As if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into a house and leaned his hand on the wall and the serpent bit him. Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? Yeah, so basically it's a parable just describing, if you flee from a lion and you happen to get away from that lion, which would be rare, then a bear will hit you, man. Let's say you escape from the wrath of a lion, and somehow you manage to escape it. Then bam, you got hit with a bear. Or you went into a house, you escaped from the bear, and went into a house and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him. So basically it's just going to be travail and bad times at every angle. You're not going to be able to escape it. Yeah, just flip it to the NLT. It says, what sorrow awaits you who say, if only the day of the Lord was here. You have no idea what you're wishing for, the day of the Lord, or that day will bring darkness, not light. Yeah, because the Lord, he's coming to bring destruction and vengeance, ultimately. Scripture says that vengeance is on his mind, man. It's Isaiah 63:1. Who's this coming from Edom, the dried garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatest of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore thou art red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat. I have tread in the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I'll stain on my raiment. So that's, you know, metaphor for all the destruction and the killing that the Lord's going to do when he comes back. You know, it likened him as if he was, pressing wine. When you stumble those grapes, those red grapes, and the juice from the grapes, you know, saturate your garment. That was likened unto the blood that the Lord's going to spill when he returns. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemer is come. The day of vengeance is on his mind, man, constantly, man. Ever since they put him on the cross and he went up into the spirit world and the Father, be with the Father. He's been thinking about that vengeance, coming back and get his revenge. Next scripture is in Matthew 10:34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I come not to send peace, but a sword. Yeah, what are they coming back for peace? The first time when he came on the scene, he was peaceful, wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove, you know. He came in peace to teach the word, he had a mission to teach the word and to go up on that cross. So the second time when he comes, he's not coming for peace, he's coming for vengeance. Because I was staying on my raiment, all that killing he's going to do, they're not going to be able to stop him either. Next scripture is Luke 12:49. I'm come to send fire on the earth. And what will I, if it already be kindled? Yeah, because prior to the Lord coming, man, there's going to be, turmoil and tribulation on the planet Earth, time of Jacob's trouble. There'll be riots, there'll be wars, fires, stars are going to be kindled and lit all over the place. Riots, race riots, little wars, civil wars, insurrections that are going to be going on, uproars of the people. And those are already going to be fire kindled on the planet Earth. Prior to him coming, when he comes, he's going to add more fire. Fire from the chariots, lasers that he's going to use to blast on people, man. War of the Worlds is a good example of that. Next scriptures are Revelation 6:3, because this is what the Lord, the ultimate destruction that's coming. This is Revelation 6:13. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Yeah, the stars of heaven, that's the nuclear missiles, man. John was seeing those missiles coming down from heaven and looked like stars falling down, those bright missiles, man, coming down to the earth. That's the only way he was able to describe it, as figs falling from a tree. Stars, because they were bright, And the heaven departed as a scroll, when it is rolled together, and every mountain, island were moved out of their places. It rolled together as a mushroom cloud, man. It says that the heaven departed as a scroll, when it's rolled together. You're seeing those mushroom clouds from when those missiles hit. And the kings of the earth, and great men and rich men, chief captains, mighty men, and every bondman, every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks and the mountains. And said unto the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and we should be able to stand. Yeah, that great day, man, that nuclear destruction, man. You got people going to hide themselves, man. They're going to go up into space, go up in the mountains, even go into the sea. This is Amos 9:2. Though they dig into hell, then shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence Will I bring them down? Will they dig into hell? It's talking about the ground. You saw they got deep underground military bases. You know, they got little bunkers, all this stuff that's underground. You know, though they climb up to heaven, that's why I bring them down. Yeah, that's why they're doing all these SpaceX and I think Bezos, what's his name, guy that owns Amazon. He took up like a couple women. He sent those women up into space for a few minutes and brought them down. So they're gonna go up into heavens as well to escape the wrath. Will they climb up into heaven? Then will I bring them down? They got a space station up there. They have the technology to go into that low Earth orbit, and then that's when the Lord's gonna bring them down. Through the Lord's chariots, His angels, thousands of heaven. Man, that's how the Lord's coming back as well, along with His angels, is these chariots, what they call UFOs. So slowly dig into hell. They're going to go into their little bases, underground bases, their bunkers. Then shall my hand take them. The elect is going to go up in there and get them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Go up in them spaceships Esau has, space stations. And though they hide themselves on the top of Carmel, the mountains. That movie Kingsman. Good example. The movie Kingsman. They had that whole military base, that military establishment inside of a mountain, man. I will search and take them out thence, and though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. And they're even going to go into the oceans, man. They got underground, they got underwater bases, man. They got stuff underground, but then the Lord also has Leviathan down there. And they're going to come in contact with Leviathan, and Leviathan's going to get them. So there's no escape from the wrath of the Lord. But yeah, the Lord's coming back with chariots. He's going to be in he's going to be in the biggest one. This is Zechariah 6:1. And I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains. And the mountains were mountains of brass. So yeah, Zechariah was describing, the chariots, what Esau calls UFOs, and some of them were huge. You had other chariots coming out of the main chariots. He says they were mountains of brass. Just like in the book of Ezra, Second Ezra, man, it described it as a mountain, man. But yeah, the Lord's going to come back in the biggest chariot. It's Luke 21:25. There shall be signs in the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and waves roaring. Yeah, signs in the heavens, man. Signs of the sun. We had, the eclipses, the blood moons, and the stars. Those are all signs of the return of Yahweh Shai, man. Earth, distress of nations, a lot of distress going on in the world right now. Men's hearts failing them for fear. And for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Yeah, men's are going to be having heart attacks. We'll be dropping dead, because all the chaos and the fear, and the death and destruction, man. The scripture says the mighty men shall cry there bitterly in that day. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Yeah, the cloud is also another describer of the chariots, a term that will describe, the Lord's chariots, man. What Esau calls UFOs. Also known as clouds. The Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Yeah, he's going to be in that big fathership, that mountain. It's going to look like a mountain. Graved, it's going to cover up the skies. The angels will be thousands upon thousands of angels going to be in the skies as well, man. So it's going to be a mighty day. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads for your redemption. Draw nigh at salvation, for whom the elect, man. That's why the elect looks forward to the day of the Lord. Just like we read in Amos, it's like, what day is it over you, Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. So the only ones that are really desiring the day of the Lord, that truly understand the day of the Lord, are his men, the hopeful elect. Why? Because when they see that Son of Man coming in a mountain with power and great glory, everybody else is going to be, no one's seen anything like that before. Only in the movies, and they're going to be, frightened, man. The elect is going to look up in that day and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. Because, the hopeful elect understand that that's the redemption, that's their salvation, man. It's Yahweh Shai and the chariots, man. But yeah, with that, shalom.